So it's Sunday, March the 30th, in the year 2025. It's just around 18 minutes after 12. I'll be posting this video shortly on on YouTube. We're 10 days into spring, 46 degrees, not bad. 53 high today. I just wanted to um, make this short video. So last week, the biggest trending news, I guess, for Guyanese around the world was the outcome of the detention of Melissa Atwell in Louisiana. Well, by now most of you would have known the outcome. The documents the judge required would have to be presented in court when she makes another appearance in Brooklyn on April 18th, 2025. And I guess those documents are pertaining to the I-130 and the I-435. Those of us who are citizens would have a good idea of what those documents are. So I'm not going to go into all those details because I saw some very dramatic information here this morning. But let me digress a bit. The General Secretary of the GTU, Coretta McDowell, has been successful in her court battle. So she's going to be able to take part in the GTU elections, run for president whenever the GTU calls elections. The other news, Marco Rubio made remarks about the highway in Suriname. But what I think all of us can agree on is that that road that he was speaking about was not done by the Chinese contractors. Also, there was a protest Friday, apparently led by Christopher Ram, in front of the office of the Commissioner of Information, Charles RAMSON Sr. in East Street. They had a number of civil society as well as the AFC personnel in attendance. If I could, some of the figures I saw, Starbuck News editor Anna Prasad, former Attorney General Anna Gusaram. I also saw Nigel. Nigel was there. Sherrod Duncan, he was there too. And some other faces that I can't remember at this moment. On Saturday's front page, I saw a picture of Dr. Terrence Campbell. And the article, I should say the caption below said, Dr. Campbell is being floated as a possible coalition consensus candidate. But then Travis Chase was speaking to Nigel in front of Charles Ramson's office, asking him who he believes could be the consensus candidate, because Nigel, in that video you're going to see, decided to step aside. And the first name Nigel blurted out was his friend, his very good friend, Dr. Terrence Campbell. Also, there was an article in Denver Waves I wanted to share with you. Apparently, I don't know if Denver Waves had a chit chat with Mohamed when he was one of his meet and greet with the people. And they were asking or telling Mr. Mohamed that it is said that the people are only coming out to meet him if he has something to share or to see his fancy vehicles. And these are the words of Mr. Mohamed, because the caption by General Wave says, Asdin Mohamed hints at a possible participation in elections. So these are the words from Mr. Mohamed. The first thing is, I haven't even launched out as yet, so how can I beg persons to vote for me? I want to make this clear, that I'm not aligned with any political party. I'm not aligned to the PPP, the PNC, the AFC. It is clear I can stand alone and defeat them any day. I repeat what he said. It is clear I can stand alone and defeat them any day. And he made those remarks at the community outreach at Edinburgh, East Barbies. Anyhow, that is a statement from Mr. Mohamed. And then we are seeing here this morning, under credible sources, you know there's a memorandum of understanding in connection with the coalition of the AFC and the PNC. The deadline expires tomorrow, and Nigel had said that it was on live support. Credible sources, allegedly it's being run by Sherrod Duncan, and this is what we saw incredible sources this morning. There, a poll conducted by the AFC reportedly found that its leader, Nigel Hughes, does not have the broad-based appeal required to lead the coalition at this time. The public is deeply politically engaged, but it has not coalesced around Nigel Hughes' leadership. In fact, many of his public engagements have struggled to attract significant crowds. The people are ready for change, but not ready for Nigel, and this is highly regrettable. Meanwhile, there are reports of a small anti-PNC coalition faction within the AFC actively working on a separate political alliance. Sources indicate that this alternative coalition could potentially include the Grand Action Party led by Vincent Henry, the Equality and Justice Party led by Jaipal Sharma, and some PNC members as well as Keith Scott of the National Front Alliance. Businessman Terrence Campbell and PNC Shadow Minister Amanzo Walton desire have emerged as possible candidates to lead this faction, according to multiple sources. But my thing is, I looked at the General Council meeting addressed by its leader Aubrey Norton. I looked at it yesterday, and I'm going to play the video where Norton is saying that the PNC, and speaking to his party comrades, they've worked very hard to get to where they are. They're not going to bend back for anyone. You don't believe me? You can watch the video. Have an excellent Sunday.
I want to say this finally. We are committed to working towards coalition. But we ain't gonna let nobody make dice pass you. We are well aware that we are better together. But we are also well aware that we carry the burden of the work. And I want to make this commitment to you, that this party will not allow anybody to ride on your backs. We are prepared to engage and be reasonable, but we are not prepared to bend over backwards. We have seen the dangers of bending over backwards.
Mr. Hughes, do you have a moment? I just want to pull you away from the access to information.
Could you just have him back with the building in the background?
You want in the building back? Look at the sun's direction. Audio check 1, 2. Mr. Hughes, apart from this here, I'm very happy that you're back from Kokwani. Could we have an update on the talks between the AFC and the PNC?
Okay, to date, the parties have exchanged very, very useful and progressive ideas. We continue to be in discussions until the 31st of March, and we continue to be hopeful. The Alliance for Change appreciates and recognizes the importance of this particular moment in history for the country, and the Alliance for Change and I personally am prepared to step aside from presidential candidature in favor of a consensus third candidate who can unite the opposition in the interest of the country. We cannot afford at this time in our history not to have a united opposition, and we believe that where we can find that consensus candidate who can unite all of us and take this country forward, we cannot afford at this point in time not to be successful.
Thank you. If I'm hearing you correctly, you are prepared to step aside for someone else who will be or is the president or could be the presidential candidate for the Alliance for Change.
I'll step aside for a third candidate if we reach a stage of some impasse.
Do you think you might have gotten that impression or that agreement from the PNCR?
No, I have not had any direct communication or contact with the PNCR. As you know, both sides have very, very competent negotiators, and I certainly have not been involved in the negotiations. I've given them a mandate, I've given them a scope, and they have a discretion. And until they come back and report to me finally, I am not going to offer any comment.
Are you willing to say who the AFC's consensus candidates might be?
Well, I think there are quite a few people in the society. You can have a country as large as Guyana and not have some personality that can unite the
But
opposition.
Nigel must have someone. I mean, it's not a cross-examination.
No. I think there are people out there. You've got Dr. Campbell. You've got other people who are out there. There are quite a few people out there.
Thank you. When did you say the next talks with the PNC are?
Well, the talks have been ongoing. I think they're ongoing daily. The 31st is Monday, and hopefully by then we will see the light.
Given that you're willing to step aside to allow for a consensus candidate, what would be then your role? You must have.
I'm not the important factor here. Guyana is the important factor, and I don't hold any particular request that I play a particular role. I think the important thing is that this country has to be rescued from the PPP. It's not about.
You're in talk with as it being your party.
No. Other than that one occasion when Mr. Mohamed and his father consulted me professionally, no, I have not been in contact. I heard the Vice President's comments yesterday about because people from the AFC share Azruddin's post that somehow that indicates a collaboration. The reality is Mr. Azruddin is very popular. He arrives in several parts of the country and he's flocked. That's a fact. And naturally, I think our supporters, PNC supporters, several supporters share his posts, as do others share ours. So, no, we have no formal arrangements at this stage.
In those talks, anything come across concerning joining up with any party?
In the talks?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I have distinctively not participated in the talks because we are confident in our negotiators and we've given them the scope. So I've said to them, unless there's a crisis, you don't need to revert. So until they come back to me, no.
You've also been engaged in listening and grounding the AFC. What are some of the more, complaints that are affecting the citizenry?
The number one complaint is cost of living. Absolutely, cost of living. The second complaint, I think most people support this, is the corruption, the absolute level of corruption. And thirdly, after that, it's the question of vision for the future. I do want to if I could, take advantage of this opportunity to say that it appears as if our president misled the Secretary of State yesterday to cause him to make a statement about the highway, which was not built by the Chinese, which was not built by the previous administration, which I believe the Secretary of State accurately described as concussion highway. But it puts the country in a very dangerous position because now the United States will probably receive some sort of low-level protest from China because the Secretary of State went to town in China in relation to that road. And clearly he had been fed information because the only person he met with was the president, by the president, that indicated that, first of all, the road was built by the Chinese. Two, that it was built during the last regime. Both of those are incorrect. And while the Secretary of State made that statement, the president did not have the decency to say, Mr. Secretary of State, that's not quite correct. And this is about responsibility. And here we have the United States Secretary of State confirming the absolutely poor quality of the construction done by this government. And I believe, if I quote him correctly, he says it was better we had it down. So you can't get a better commentary on a road produced by this present administration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I wasn't able to get your thoughts.
Leader of the AFC, Nigel Hughes, updates on the talks between the Alliance for Change and the PNC arm.